Obama didn't do anything but an abomination to us, to this whole nation.
People need to get over slavery.
Well, apparently it looks like for the context of this, we're talking about African American people should get over slavery.
All right, so I guess I started off. I mean, we all know that slavery was a terrible thing.
Yes.
It was an atrocity.
Right.
It was a human tragedy. But
Yes.
we can't just be talking about slavery every day. It ended in 1865. This is 2020. We got to press forward. Our ancestors, they went through a lot. They died for us to be able to be here right now.
As someone growing up in this world, the narrative that anyone died for us to be here just seems blatantly disrespectful. Life isn't a Disney movie, nor are all our ancestors as benevolent as the story of Jesus. The power of religion and the Bible's stories resonate clearly through our rhetoric as a people. Please understand, our ancestors did not die for us. They were murdered. How many African Americans hundreds of years ago, going through literal hell, had the mind to accept or even request the suffering so generations later we could sit back and Netflix and chill? We could create music that programs and perpetuates trauma, allowing our children to be indoctrinated by the very system that stole us to begin with. Died for us? How disrespectful is that to the suffering of the men, the women, the children, and what they had to endure? Please, I ask anyone who's African American who thinks this way, put away your egos and understand that our ancestors owed us nothing. They were trying to survive just like you and me today.
Yes.
And the best country on planet Earth.
Yes.
Take advantage of what we have right now,
Right.
rather than looking in the past and saying, oh, well, woe was me because of slavery.
Right.
You know, there have been other groups of people in slavery all throughout the world. They can't just stay in that state. So people, a lot of times, they stay right in that place, and others are being able to pass them because mentally they've moved on while others have not.
At this point, it seems like he didn't do any research. Seems like more of a clear opinion piece. Others have moved on from it? Really? Google Mauritania. They still actually have chattel slavery going on still. You can't get over something that still exists. It's just evolved. I mean, chattel slavery in America may be abolished, but slavery is still alive and well. Let's see what type of slavery still exists, you wonder. Well, prisons, some parental structures, working a 9 to 5 being paid less than your worth. You could be a slave to the illusions of media, slave to consumerism and capitalist thinking, a slave to the old religions and the old ways of teachings. Slavery and control are the foundations of the way humanity and our reality works. Do you think this world would have been built if everyone had a choice? If everyone could actually be free? It seems to me many haven't realized that freedom always has a price. And if you look closely, African Americans are the example of continuously paying for it.
Right.
They constantly use slavery to put them in a victim mentality. We can't accomplish this because you enslaved my ancestors. Slaves were taught English. Slaves were taught how to become managers and secretaries and cooks and chauffeurs and how to build water tanks and all sorts of things. We're here now.
First of all, she seemed very excited to say victim mentality. We are humans, not animals. Teaching a human to understand English and cook and chauffeur is what you have to do to have an effective slave. That wasn't because they wanted us to have power. They weren't teaching slaves to become CEOs or to understand the lies and the power dynamics. They weren't teaching the power of money, manipulation. They were not creating wolves. They were creating sheep. See, the reality we have now is because people like these two are common. They are part of the generations before us teaching the next generations to forget, to forgive, to comply, to accept that there was no retribution and there never will be. See, the atrocities, the killing of our leaders, they've had a tremendous effect on our communities. Do you really believe they didn't affect our families? 80% of us are raised by single mothers. A lot of family members are buried under prisons, are locked up unjustly. We have mass murdering shootings at supermarkets, churches. The mindset that has been programmed over generations is the real problem. Get over slavery? It still exists. First, we get recognition, and then we get retribution for the many forgotten and the many never mentioned. See, then we can talk about moving past something. Maybe let's start with an African American hate law. I mean, the Asian American hate law was passed over the pandemic, and it's been years, and still nothing for us. People should get over slavery, right? No, black people should pay attention to what is being done to them by the programming. Free ourselves from that, and then we can show the world what freedom really looks like. They follow us anyway.